Welcome back to the channel. Today's we will continue our story of a man who caught his wife cheating at her workplace, so he decided to take this matter in his own hand. In case you missed the part 1 and 2, I recommend you should check it out. Let us continue our story. It was becoming increasingly clear that my desire to fade away, to become a ghost, was just a fleeting wish. It became more apparent as time passed. Too many people cared about me, and in the end, that's a good thing. I reviewed the remaining messages from Julia and listened to the missed calls. Eventually, she came clean, but her confession was anything but straightforward. Mixed with her honesty were sharp bursts of anger, and she managed to shift the blame to me for everything. That's utterly ridiculous, I thought. I wasn't going to let her manipulate me any further. I sent her a message telling her I'd call her the next day at noon. I knew it had to happen sooner or later. The conversation was inevitable, but it wasn't the resolution I hoped for. She vacillated between guilt, blame, and denial. She said she was sorry, but Matt had too much of a hold on her. She claimed I was suffocating her by working too much, and the weight of my job had driven her away. I almost laughed out loud when she tried to convince me that nothing serious had transpired between her and Matt, that it was just a bit of fun. She told me she was simply searching for creative inspiration, as if that made it better. But the real kicker came when she accused me of turning our daughters against her, even though her actions had done far more damage than anything I could have possibly done. When she finally fell silent, I laid everything out in a straightforward manner. She had conspired with Matt to betray me, rejected every one of my attempts to fix our relationship, followed through with the betrayal, and now she had to face the fallout. I didn't need any more explanations. I didn't care about the whys anymore. When I hung up, she was still crying, still begging for another chance. But I was done. I had seen enough, and I knew too much to turn back. After that, I found myself in search of a new place to live. I came across a modest two-bedroom apartment in an older building close to my office. Initially, I thought of it as just a temporary solution, but as time went on, I found myself adjusting to it more than I anticipated. It was simple, but it felt like a fresh start. As I spent more time there, I began to entertain the idea of a small coastal cottage for weekends, and eventually I thought, why stop there? A boat would be a perfect escape. I could keep it docked in the harbor, a place where I could spend time away from the hustle and bustle, recharging whenever I needed. By the time fall rolled around, I had mapped out my new life. It wasn't exactly the solitary existence I'd imagined, though. In fact, I found myself spending more time with my daughters than I did when I was living in Raleigh. They came up to visit every month, often bringing friends with them. During those weekends, my apartment was full of laughter and activity. I treated them to dinner and spent quality time together, creating new memories. After they left, I did enjoy the peace and quiet, though I'd often miss them the moment they were gone. Surprisingly, a few of my friends have already visited, and others are planning to do so when the weather improves. While I may live alone, I don't feel isolated. I've met new people at work, and the sailing community here is welcoming and full of adventure. I've even met a few interesting women, though I've made it clear that I will remain respectful and well-behaved until the divorce is finalized. Even though the divorce is almost official, Julia still reaches out from time to time. She refuses to fully acknowledge the magnitude of her actions, brushing them off with statements like, "Everyone does it. It doesn't mean anything." But to me, it does. The deceit, the betrayal, and the manipulation all matter deeply. I briefly considered explaining this to her, but the truth is, people change. And I'm beyond that now. It's no longer worth the energy. I realize that no matter how far I distance myself from Julia, some aspects of our shared life are inescapable. With two daughters and many mutual friends, complete detachment isn't realistic. Still, the physical distance of 600 miles between us means I no longer experience the constant pain of rejection and betrayal. She used to be the center of my life. But once I was no longer in hers, I was forced to create a new identity for myself. And now that's what I'm doing. I'm forging my own path, carving out a future that is entirely my own. The whole experience has brought some unexpected silver linings. For one thing, I've come to truly enjoy living here. This is my first winter in Maine, and while it's been an adjustment, I've embraced it. If others can handle the cold, so can I. The early sunsets are strange at first, but they make indoor gatherings feel warm and intimate. I've even started looking for a boat, which I plan to keep moored in a nearby harbor. Spring can't come soon enough for me to start working on it, splicing lines, sanding, and applying varnish. The local restaurants are fantastic, and the craft breweries are top-notch. The people here are genuine and authentic, and I've found that there's a strong sense of community. The music scene is lively, and I've even tried contra dancing, a fun new activity I never expected to enjoy. Every day feels like a new discovery, and I'm filled with a sense of anticipation for what's to come. I've learned to embrace life as it is, with all its unpredictability. As for my heart, is it fully healed? Not yet, but I know it's a journey. Some days I feel empowered, excited for the next adventure, while other days I'm reminded of the pain of my past. But I've learned to navigate those emotions, acknowledging them without letting them dominate my thoughts. As winter deepened, I found peace in the snow-covered landscape. The serenity of the season felt like a natural antidote to the chaos I'd lived through. I picked up cross-country skiing, which helped me stay active and provided a way to clear my mind. Each outing on the trails became a form of meditation, a quiet time to reflect on my own growth. I also began to immerse myself in the local arts scene. I attended gallery openings and community theater performances where I met others who shared their stories of struggle and triumph. Their resilience inspired me to think more deeply about my own healing process. I even started playing my guitar again, using music as an outlet for the emotions I'd bottled up for so long. The holiday season was bittersweet, especially with the complicated family dynamics at play. I invited my daughters to spend Christmas with me in Maine, hoping to start new traditions. We decorated a simple tree, baked cookies, and sat by the fire, telling stories and creating new memories. It was a reminder that, no matter how difficult the past had been, love and connection could still endure. With the arrival of the new year, I set intentions for the future, to focus on my personal growth, to build stronger connections with my daughters, and to explore new hobbies. I also began to think about dating again, but I knew I needed to approach it cautiously. I wanted to ensure that I was ready to open my heart without carrying the weight of past pain. I joined a local sailing club, eager to learn the ropes and connect with fellow enthusiasts. The sense of camaraderie was invigorating, and I found myself relishing the freedom that sailing promised. It reminded me of everything I'd longed for in the past, the freedom to chart my own course, to live without constraints. With each passing month, I felt more like myself again. I embraced the unpredictability of life, knowing that while I couldn't control everything, I could choose how to respond. I learned to appreciate the small moments, the warmth of the sun on my face, the laughter of my daughters, and the friendships I was building. Julia continued to try to reach out, but I remained firm in my boundaries. I understood that her journey was hers to navigate, and mine was to heal. I no longer felt the need to engage in conversations that would only bring more pain. Instead, I focused on building a life that reflected my values and aspirations. As spring approached, I felt a renewed sense of hope. The world around me was coming to life just as I was. The past would always be a part of me, but it no longer defined me. I was ready to sail into the future, confident in my ability to navigate whatever came next. With each step, I was charting my own course, one filled with resilience, growth, and the promise of better days ahead. And that's the end of this story. Do you have anything to say for this man? Leave your comments down the comment sections.